Hello guys, afternoon all, let me know if you can hear me. Hey bestest, how are you doing mate? Good to see you in here. Accelerate, thanks very much for touching base with me the other day, much appreciated. I'll leave this one up so you can watch it later. Have I got audio okay? Yeah, I've got audio okay, good. Afternoon Richard, good to see you. Couple of you know about this. I got in contact with Geeetech, as I'm calling them. They're called Geeetech by some people in other places. I call it Geeetech. Got in contact with them trying to get a machine for review. Unfortunately that didn't happen. So I've got some discount, but I've gone out and bought my own basically. Like the look of the machine, like the improvements in technology over Creality CR10, which is what it basically is, but with some alterations. So I've stuck my hand in my pocket and I've gone out and bought it. I'm not being paid to do this. I'm not going to be paid to do the review I do later. I have just literally been given a discount on the machine to get it at a more reasonable price for me. And quite what I do with it after that is entirely up to myself. They've also thrown in some free rolls of filament. You get a free roll of filament when you order. I've got some purple, but they also throw in some rolls of wood PLA. But this is it. This is the kit. Hi FP3D, good to have you here. I'm just gonna get it out of the box. Just talking to Derek just prior to coming on air, and he's touched upon something which I'm going to do. You'll see I've just uploaded the ABL sensor video for the Ender 3. Well, I'm going to attempt to fit one to this as well, because I believe, I could be wrong, I believe there's a module already in place and it's basically plug and play. But we'll look at that at a later date. But for now, we're just going to get into the box. This retails without any discount, I believe, at $379. I believe. I'm sure somebody will pull me up if it's different, but on the Amazon UK website it was $379. There is a little bit of discount available on it on the website, and you also go, like I say, you also get a free roll of filament. There we are, $379.99. You see, this is why I have these wonderful support people in my streams, because it saves me having to look for stuff. Derek will also tell you the build volume, because that's what he does. He just looks everything up and quickly bangs it on the screen for me. There's the box open, so right on the top of the box. Haha! We actually have a list of printing parameters, which is very useful. It's an FDM printer. The build volume is 320 by 320 by 420. Its printing accuracy allegedly is 0.05 millimeters. Its precision, X and Y is 0.11 on the X and the Y, and Z is 0.0025. Sounds impressive. Print speed is anywhere between 80 and 110 millimeters a second is recommended. The filament size is 1.75 millimeters. The nozzle diameter is 4 mil. It will print PLA, ABS, nylon, wood polymers, etc., etc. The maximum temp for the hotbed is 110 degrees. The maximum temp for the extruder is 250 degrees. It's 12 volt. It's 41 amp. So it's going to be heating the same speed as the CR10 did, which is considerably slower than it is on the Ender 3, because that's running 24 volt. That's all on a piece of paper that comes in the box, which is kind of nice. Also in the top of the box there is a full package list, which is also nice. Tells me what I should find in here. There's also a pretty quick start guide, which doesn't need to be too big because it's not more than about 6 screws, but it talks you through how to get things set up. And there is an assembly manual, very simple, black and white. Nothing very exciting about that at all. Very simple, very straightforward. So we'll put that lot to one side for the moment. We'll take the top off. And there you go. That's your first view and my first view of this machine. So it seems to be nicely packaged, nicely put together. Yeah, looks good. Well packaged, well put together. We'll just take this out, which is clearly the bed. First thing you'll notice, 2 rails on the bottom. Rather than 1, we've got 2 rails on the bottom. So that apparently gives better accuracy, and each rail has 3 rollers on it. Yeah, and the internal ones are the nuts that you can alter to alter the amount of grip you get. You'll see that the bed leveling knobs are incredibly small, incredibly tiny. But like I say, I'm going to sit an ABL sensor on it, hopefully, and get that running, so they won't be an issue. But I'm sure you can print out larger knobs for the bed leveling should you so wish. We're going to turn it over and we're going to have a look at this build plate. Now this build plate is glass, and you can't really see, but it's got the best way to describe it, and I can only say this for the UK people. The best way I can describe it is that it's like an oven door. If you understand what I mean by that, it's got that sort of finish to it, that sort of checkered finish to the surface. And I believe what it does is that when it heats up, that's those microscopic little pores open. Your print sticks to it, and then as the plate cools, it contracts slightly, which pops the actual the print off the build plate. That's what I'm led to believe. We'll have a look, see how it works. The lead in the end, which appears to be wrapped with what almost looks like second-hand cling film, but we won't go down that road. Hey, Filament Frenzy, good to have you in. There we go. Fantastic. Unwrap that. So it's a similar plug again to the CR10 ones. Slightly larger design, not particularly well put together, I must point out. Don't know whether you can see that, but that's not quite set in square, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue. It's just slightly cross-threaded. I think I just need to loosen it off and sort that out. So there's the first little thing with it. Very nondescript stepper motor, no name on it of any description. Simple little micro end stop on the end of there. So we'll lay that to one side. Try not to destroy it in the process. Just one more thing before I move that out of the way. You'll notice that the bed is directly soldered on. There's no plug. There's no attempt at strain relief. That cable goes underneath the bed and is looped underneath the bed. There is a sort of a strain relief tie around one of the bed leveling screws, and then it comes straight out of the back. So that should hold that in place, and it sort of negates the need for anything sticking out of the back of the printer. So that's good. Okay, we'll take this layer off. Nice to have you all in the room. Good to see you all. Thanks very much for showing up. So into the next layer, we'll take, it's difficult to find out what to take out next. We'll take the box out. Tell you what, we'll have a look in the box first and then we'll take the box out. So there's a power supply, what I call a kettle lead power supply, UK plug on. Always good, well done Geeetech. Know where you're sending the stuff, that's always very useful. The Geeetech mouse mat, which is quite nice. Has a little QR code to get you to the Geeetech Facebook page. We have a plastic bag. Everybody likes plastic bags. We have some white zip ties. We have a small amount of white filament, doesn't say what it is, I'm guessing it's PLA. We have more cling film, which I'm going to struggle to get into without a very sharp knife. I shall use my screwdriver. Is the audio still okay? Is the video still alright, guys? Let me know if there's any problems with it. I have been having issues all afternoon. Tried to get a video up from lunchtime, but I kept having the camera drop out or the mic drop out. It's been quite difficult today. The quality of the video I've put up is not as I would like it to have been, but quite frankly I got to the stage I was sick to death of re-recording sections because of mic drops or camera focus, so it's up. But I think you get the gist of the idea of what I'm trying to do with it. So we have two short extrusions. I'm not sure if they aren't something to do with the spool holder. Then we have another bit of something. I think this is also part of the spool holder, but we'll open it up and we'll have a look. Like I say, it's similar to a CR10. I will not say it's a copy of a CR10 because they're pretty much generic machines, all these things these days, aren't they? I mean, it's like your Prusa A30 copies and the such. They're not copies, they are variations on a theme, I like to say. So yeah, part the spool holder. My goodness, they've put enough cling wrap around this stuff. Part the spool holder, part the spool holder. So that's what that is. We then delve deeper into the bag. We have the USB cable. Apparently it says high performance, works with USB 2. Wow, how long they've had that hidden in the cupboard. We have a Z-end stop by the look of it. Fairly simple. It's a metal T-piece with a plastic, but it's injection molded plastic. We have a 1 GB micro SD card. Wish they'd get off micro SD cards onto full size ones, but there we go. We have some what appear to be M8 screws. Another T-piece, which I'm sure will be for the coupling. A spare screw set, with a few T-nuts and bits and pieces in there, a few washers. The obligatory toolkit, including a screwdriver, 3 Allen keys, and this handy little thing which I'd never seen before, but was pointed out in one of the videos I've watched recently. This little tool. It's just got like a little handle on this end, and then it's a steel shaft, and I believe that will fit. It's about 1.3 mil or something like that, so it's used if you've got some broken off filament inside your hot end and you want to push it out through the nozzle. You can use that to push it in. I believe that's what it's for, but it's nice that they've included it, because I've not seen that in any kit I've had before or with any printer I've had before. So that's just a box. Very nice it is too. So we'll go for the power supply next. Slightly smaller in dimensions than the original CR10 one. Slightly lighter as well. It's got the 2 plugs, proprietary plugs on the back. The kettle lead, on-off switch, a small fan there. The switch on the side for the voltage already set to 220. Again, well done Geeetech. You know where you're sending the machine, so you've got the power supply set to the right. USB input and the micro SD card slot. Then on the front you've just got the screen, of course, which is the touch screen. 2 holes on the top for putting your, that will be for your filament holder. So what those 2 little extrusions were for, I'm sure we'll find out in the fullness of time. But yeah, nicely put together power supply. Doesn't rattle too badly, that's always a good thing. Oh, I'll just quickly open these cables so we can see what's in here. Is the chat stopped, or am I just not reading it anymore? Is everybody gone to sleep? Can't see any chat beyond that first page, so that must mean everybody's asleep. Oh well, maybe I've gone off air. Anything's possible. You just don't know these days the way things are. Can somebody tell me if I'm still actually streaming, seeing as you've all gone so quiet? That would be helpful. More cling wrap. More trouble with cling wrap. Good old cling wrap. Did I have a choice of colour? No, no choice of colour whatsoever. Just had to pick what there was. I'll be honest with you, they might all come off anyway. I've left the ones on my Ender 3, not on my Ender 3, sorry, on my CR10. That's still got its orange on it. I mean, they are only an aesthetic thing. You know, if you don't like them, you can take them off. I believe there are several different versions that you can buy, different colour-wise. So you can go for anything you want. Somebody ought to do some, I don't know, some flashy ones, some chrome ones or something like that. That would be quite cool. But they are what they are. They're just a bit of aesthetics. They don't perform any task whatsoever. Do you know, this cling wrap is going to be the death of me. It reminds me of taking all the backing paper off the plastic when you've got the A8 to do, and the hours it took to get all that brown backing paper off, and the fact that some people didn't bother, that they just left it in place and made it even more flammable. So there we go. That's the cables. My goodness, that's a tiny one. That says F. Ah, that's the filament sensor one. But that is absolute. Let me see if I can get the camera onto that. That is an absolutely minute little sensor. Is that absolutely tiny? I wouldn't want to trap that on anything. And then you've just got extruder, x-axis and x-axis, and then on that one you've got z-axis, y-axis, z-axis, y-axis. So, oh, and of course that, which is the hot end, I believe. So we'll move that out of the way now. We've spent enough time on that. Sorry about boring you to death. So the only piece left in the box is the main gantry. And this is stuck in the box. My goodness, that doesn't want to come out. There we go. Right, we'll get the box out of the way. You see the awful state of this. Chuck the microphone on the floor, which is always good. Right, so let's have a quick look around this, shall we? We have filament out sensor sat there, tiny weeny little thing. Oh, and it's got it. Right, so we've got the dual extruders, the dual Z rods up the back. So you've got your dual stepper motors there. The hot end, you've got single fan to that side with the shroud going under, and then you have the other parts. The other fan is on the side here. The reason for that is there's a mount on the front here, Right, I don't know how far we got before the audio went. Hopefully we've got the audio back now. Have we got sound back? Testing, 1, 2. Are we back in the room? Right, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having real issues with this. I'm not quite sure how to solve it. Right, sorry about that, guys. So I lost about 30 seconds. Right, I was basically saying probably what you've missed is the most important bit. That on the top there is for auto bed leveling sensor, which plugs into there. I'm going to attempt to either get my own made up, see if I can do one in some CAD program, but I'm rubbish at doing it. Or hopefully somebody out there has already done it to fit a full-size 18mm ABL sensor. Look at the schematics and see if I can find out the pin out for this 3-pin here, and the theory is I fit the ABL sensor to that, plug it into there, and you're good to go. There's one slight alteration you have to do on the machine, but it's very easy, very straightforward, and then hopefully we'll get that up and running. This is where you've heard it first. If anybody else does it and they do it before me, all well and good to them, but that's my plan for this machine. That's one of the first things I want to do. So design wise, it's very nice. I'm not so sure about this. This here little malarkey looks a bit on the cheap side, bit on the plasticky side. I think there's been a few corners cut with that. But again, it's a standard size fitting, so I'll be able to swap it out for an all metal one or something like that. Just move that to one side. That seems nice and smooth. There's no flat spots anywhere on there, which is always nice to know. The Z-axis screws, yeah, they're nice. There's no binding on those either. So I didn't intend on doing anything more with it than showing it to you as it is at the moment. But if you'd like, I'll quickly bang it together. What do we think? Do we think we've got to try and bang it together? Haven't got a lot of time. Mike will probably cut out again. I haven't got the camera set to the best angles, but if you'd like me to quickly try and put it together, we'll go for it. There's no point reading the instructions. I might as well use the masses of experience that I've gained over the years and get it together. By the way, hi everyone. You see, I am here. It's not a strange person. It is indeed me. So, if we're going to build it, we're not going to prat about, like I say, reading instructions. We are just going to get on with it. So what I'll do is we'll have a quick look. There are 2 holes this side, there are 2 holes this side. I've got a kit somewhere that's got 4 bolts in it and 4 washers, and there it is. So that's clearly the back of it, that's clearly the front of it. So I think it's just a matter of getting these 4 out of here, which have each got a spring washer on them. Then we're going to grab this section. We're going to bring it up, we're going to offer it up, see how it looks. Tell you what I might need to do, that's a little thing, look. That hot end is touching the it's touching the bed before the extrusions are. So I'm going to have to wind that up a little. So just bear with me, I've got it upside down so that makes life a bit easier, and we'll just wind that out of the way. Now then, Paul, good to have you in the room. Filament Frenzy, Mick Clark, the usual suspects, Richard, Derek. No Don, that's interesting. Thought Don would be on unless he's making a video himself. I know there's been an awful lot of people on today doing live streams and one thing or another. Like I say, I was in the situation that I was trying to get that that video uploaded and sorted. So unfortunately I missed all the other people that were on, but it does mean that now I've come on, hopefully everybody else's streams are finished and I'm not treading on anybody's toes, because I don't like to do that. Right, I'm just going to move a few bits out of the way because of course I put it all in my way. I'm just going to tilt it up like so. This could be a fairly easy build. That appears to have gone straight in the hole, which is always a bonus. Oh, it hasn't, because it's just fallen out. Can we edit that out in post-processing, somebody? Just the bit where the screw fell out after I said it had fitted in. Dawn is here. Hey Dawn, good to see you, sweetheart. You better take a good look at this, because this is the next printer Richard will be buying, and you'll be living off the streets. Well, there'll be no room for you. You're going to have to get a single bed or something, because there's going to be too many printers in the house. I'm joking, of course. So we'll use the provided tools, because that's always good. Always use the provided tools, because then you get to know whether they've put the right stuff in the kit or not. That's the right Allen key. I have a question about the Ender 3. One of my Ender 3s this morning decided to start homing up instead of down. Do you have any idea about... have you? I've got a couple. Oh, got a couple. Never had that issue with them. Am I guessing, Wiley, that it was working all right to start with, and it's just suddenly started working badly? Behave. Alright, I'm getting in trouble, am I? Righto. Is it something that's just you haven't altered any of the build or anything like that? You've not tried to fit anything to it, change anything on it? It's just literally started working backwards, which is a little concerning. It's decided to start home up instead of down. Right, when you go into the control panel and you go into moving the Z-axis, when you press the buttons, does it move the right way? So when you try and manually move the Z, does it actually move the correct way when you move it by, not by hand, but using the the controls on the front? That way, does it go the right direction? Does it go in the wrong way then? Because if it's going the wrong way, then it would suggest to me it's a polarity issue. Lots of yeses. So it's going the wrong way. Have you tried doing it through something like putting it on Octoprint or something like that, and then try it through there and see if it does the same thing on that? Because if you're doing it on everything, and on everything it's working backwards, I would suggest, once you've taken into consideration everything else, that if it's working backwards with whatever you do, there's a plug-in the wrong way around. Now I know you've not changed the plug round, but if somebody's accidentally knocked one of your machines, they may well have knocked the cable out and pushed the cable back in, hoping you wouldn't notice, and have maybe put it in the wrong way around. It's a possibility. It's something I would... it's going the right way, and if you force it to print down, you move it down once, it starts printing. If you physically move it down, it prints just fine. So what you're saying now, somebody will be able to... This is going to be a stepper motor issue, I think. Somebody more technical out there, yeah, I'm thinking it could be, and I'm only saying could be, that the voltage to that stepper motor isn't quite enough, and it's reversing itself before it's starting, because they are excuse me, because they they are stepper motors and they're bi-directional by design, I believe that if there isn't enough either voltage or amperage getting to the motor, it could cause it to reverse direction before starting. Filament Frenzy is also absolutely correct. It is a possibility that something in your G code, your slicing code, if you've suddenly started using somebody else's, I don't know whether you use Cura or Simplified 3D, but if you're using somebody else's code, it could be that that's wrong. That's a possibility. Pete, dude, the answer to your PM, mate, is yes, of course you can. No problem at all. It would be a pleasure. I did see your post the other day about you not being on beans and toast anymore, which is fantastic. So yeah, the answer to your question is yes, of course you can, mate. No problem at all. And yeah, thanks very much for the presents. Everybody who doesn't know, Pete Robinson is the guy that the little unboxing of presents I did the other day, they came from Pete. He has an eBay page, and the video that an eBay shop. The video that I've put out today about the bed leveling, excuse me, has got, using one of his sensors on that video. I kind of mixed it up a bit, just to prove that, you know, everything's pretty much the same. I used TH3D's firmware, although Pete has got a version of the firmware on his eBay page, and I used his sensor. I could have easily gone the other way and done it the other way around, but yeah, quick video on that I've put out. But it seems to be good, seems to work well, and hopefully I'm going to get one on here. That's the plan. There we go, Pete. There's another sale for you. Ka-ching! Sorry, back to Wiley's issue. I thought of that too. I had just finished printing the test print G code and I had to force it down to the bed to start printing, and it went just fine. Pete might be able to help with this before my audio dies again. There you go. Can't beat the firmware. That's a nice thing to say, Pete. But yeah, just did it that way so everybody gets a fair crack of the whip. No favouritism in my videos. Everybody gets a fair crack of the whip. Yeah, Pete, I tell you what, that's quite interesting. That filament sensor is on a little ball bearing, so it wobbles around, which is quite cool. Pete, you're an intelligent bloke. I use the term loosely, but looking at the people we've got in the room, you're an intelligent bloke. While he's having an issue with one of his Ender 3s, when he's trying to start prints, rather than it going down to the bed, it seems to be going up. Hasn't changed anything, hasn't changed any of the G code or anything else. If he forces it down, it will then go down. I think it's a voltage issue. I think it might need a pot turning up on the power supply, because I do know there's something about the switching on a stepper motor. But you know, I'm sure Pete will have an idea. I just have a feeling I've read somewhere about voltage on stepper motors and one thing and another. Just going to grab my T-square, just make sure I've got things level. Bear with me, guys. If the audio goes again, scream it all over the page. I'm sure it will. Too many drawers. There we go. Everybody's friend. Everybody should have one of these. If you haven't got one, get one. Got mine from a car boot. Didn't cost a lot at all. But yeah, what a thing. Doesn't half making getting these things set up a dream. So I'm just going to check Oh, just go up a little more. Just going to check that that's at a right angle. And that's beautiful. We'll check this side's the same. Oh, up a bit more. Yeah, that's cracking, that is. They're absolutely perpendicular, so that's good. The next thing I'll do, while I've got these to hand, is I'll make sure I've got this gantry level. Now, it doesn't matter too much with these gantries, especially if you're using auto bed leveling, because it will help solve it. And we're back again. I wish it wouldn't do this. I'm going to try plugging it into a different USB port. That may be an issue. I'm going to try that. Second time. Very annoying. About 30 seconds again. Fantastic. Right, well, I've plugged it into a different USB port now, so hopefully that solved it. 30 seconds. Yeah, I was just using that to get the gantry level. Good bit of kit, comes in useful. Right, so we've got the main part of it built, so that didn't take long, did it? I am going to carefully, I'm just chucking everything all over the top of my tablet, which I'm actually using as my Streamlabs controller, so if I'm not careful, I'm going to change all the screens. Don't want to be doing that, do I? Right, so I've put it together as much as it is. I've levelled the gantry as much as it is. I want somebody in the chat, any one of you 8 that are still here. Car boot this Sunday. Absolutely. Are you going, Richard, or are you expecting me to go? Because I will be going. I didn't go to the one today. I was too busy trying to get that flaming video out. But that flaming video is now out. So I will be going in the morning, up at 5 to the first one, and then back home, go shopping with the missus. Except I won't be, because she's going shopping with her mother and her sister. So I'll be going shopping on my own, and then back, and then out to the second car boot at 12 o'clock. So, fix that little problem with the plug. Right, what I was trying to say was, somebody out there, can somebody get onto Geeetech's, probably GitHub it'll be on, or find somewhere on Geeetech's, not Geeetech's, as I hear people say, Geeetech's website, and can you find me, because this is entirely open source, there should be some sort of schematic for this plug up here for the ABL sensor. Can somebody see if they can find that for me? Because I'd hate to wire it up the wrong way around. Right, well, if you get some stuff, Rich, I need to know. I need to see what you get. Right, so Derek stuck that up. Can you actually tell me what it is, though, Derek? Because I can't read that. Well, I suppose I could, couldn't I? I could open it on another page. Don't be so lazy, Matthew. Except he's just made you guys disappear. I'm just trying to read through it. I've already read that. Just let me get you back up on the screen. There we go. I've already read that, sorry, Derek, but it doesn't give me a pin out that I can see on there for that socket. And that's what I need. I need a pin out for that socket. So when I know which way around that is, I will know which way around to wire my cable up, and I will use the spare one Pete has sent me. And because there doesn't seem to be certainly a definitive way of doing it, because the ones you get from Geeetech are already pre-wired. But I could just do with knowing what that pin out is, because then it will literally be a 5-minute job. And I like 5-minute jobs. Right, power supply. This is going awfully well at the moment, isn't it? That was famous last words, wasn't it? Cable management's quite nice. It's already sort of clipped together, which is good. So that one goes into there. Like so. That one. Bingo. There we go. Fantastic, Wiley. I'm glad that's working. I knew I'd read it somewhere. I knew somewhere it was something to do with sorry, my brain's going dead again. It was something to do with the voltage going into that stepper motor, and it had to be turned up for somebody else who had the same issue. Right, so extruder stepper. That's my filament sensor tiny weenie plug. Filament sensor tiny, and that is absolutely minute, is that plug. Better make sure I get it the right way around, and I'm sure it only goes in one way, but if it can go in two ways, I'll get it in the wrong one. So what have we got here? We have got end stop, 3-pin end stop, so that will be in there. It all seems to go together fairly well. I'm not seeing major issues yet. There was just that plug was a little bit skew with, but it didn't take a lot of sorting. So that's the extruder, so that means that that one is the x-axis, and that comes up from the bottom. Have we still got audio? Yes. Brilliant. Don't worry, Derek, not a problem. I'll find it. It's probably hidden away somewhere on GitHub, because although they say they release all these things, it's generally done in such a way that it's difficult to find. They don't want to give it away, they want you to search for it, and I don't mind doing that. I'm not beyond doing a bit of detective work to find it, but I don't know that if I get them the wrong way around, it will cause, you know, a puff of smoke, which I don't really want, not at this early stage. Mind you, it was Amazon Prime, so I could just stick it all back in the box, claim stupidity, which for me is quite easy to do, and get my money back. So this is going to be the other z-axis, so that's quite interesting that z-axis one is labelled, but then I've got one long one which isn't labelled, so it's got to be the other z-axis, it can't be anything else. Yeah, no, I've seen that as well, but I'm sure if the firmware gets a bit of an update, I'm sure they'll solve that little issue. It has been mentioned to them. I know I was looking at somebody else's video and they said they had contacted Geeetech. I think it's to do with capacitors, isn't it? Because to be able to get that lift, you've got to have kept enough energy in the capacitor for it to have enough power to lift those motors a little bit. And if they're not using big enough capacitors, that ain't going to work. I'm wondering if that's going to be yeah, it's going to be better to go around that way. So that could be a design issue, Derek. It might well be that the cap's inside it, because that's how I'm sure it works on Prusa machines, is that the capacitors inside store enough voltage that when the power does go off, there's enough power in those caps just to do that little and I don't know that if the caps in this are big enough to be able to do that. Right, so without doing any more cable management or anything like that, the machine is together quite simply. That didn't take long, did it? So the next thing to do, I suppose, is to come around here, unplug this, which is sat on the floor, which was the Ender 3 I was just finished the video on. There you go, look. Which I had sat on the floor. I have power. Right, I'm going to move this second camera now because we don't need it up above because we've done the build. So I'm going to bring it down and we'll have a look and see if we get some life into it. So just bear with me 2 ticks. I might be in the camera's way for a while. You'll just have to put up with that. Quick 360 of the room a couple of times. Tell me if you're getting dizzy. This is very professional, isn't it? Hey, you don't get this with 3D Maker Noob, do you? Absolutely not. So down to the bottom. Here we go. Let's get that shoved back a bit. I am going to get the little Gorilla Pod to put that on. We still got audio. Yes, we still have audio at the moment. That's good. Where's my Gorilla Pod gone? I had that only moments ago, and now it escapes me. Gorilla Pod. Oh well, we'll leave it like that for the moment until I spy it out the corner of my eye somewhere. Let's get some power in this baby. Something I've noticed is that I haven't found out what those 2 pieces of extrusion are for yet. They haven't come up on my build, but then who's saying my build's right? Alright, cool, Rich. Does it give any colours or anything like that that might sort of give me a clue to the right direction? Right, are we ready? Let's see if this beast lives. Pull the camera out a bit. And power on. And we have a screen. Let me turn the light off on that. There we go. Remove that. Let me come around the front and have a look. Well, that looks quite nice. Try and get some of the out of the shots. There we go. So we've got settings. Oh, I tell you what, it's a very pleasant touchscreen. No real effort needed to do anything. So that's your filament detector on. Whether you can read that, but that's just put the printing job has paused because no filament was detected. So that's quite cool. So go back into settings, go into detector, and we'll turn that off. Very intuitive, very intuitive. There we go, that's the information. Right there in green and blue. There's all your temp settings. This is quite an impressive machine actually. I'm just going to sit that there. I'll have that there like that while I do find a little tripod to put this on. But I've got to say, that in itself has powered up without any issues so far. I can't see any immediate issues with it. Shows picture orange and red as you look at it to the left. That's nice. Well, again, I might be calling on Pete's expertise for that, because he's the technical wizard. I might just have to, off camera, have him just have a little look at that and see if he can eyeball it for me. If you haven't realised what I'm talking about, Pete, this comes with the ability to have an ABL fitted, and it just fits as a 3-pin plug on the top there, and you just put a mount on the front, because it's got the small mount at the moment, but you just put a mount on the front, plug it in, alter it in the firmware, which you can do off the touch screen, and you've got ABL, plain and simple. They're actually selling the sensors on their website for dirt cheap. Don't know whether that means they're a load of rubbish, but they were about $8 or $9, I seem to remember. Not quite sure how that works, but I'm not going to argue. I can't find the Allen keys now. I'm running into issues all of a sudden. I should find one of my own. But yeah, no, it looks pretty good. Shall we stick an SD card in it and try and print something? Would that be an idea? Anybody? Somebody? Allen keys. My Allen keys are over here. That fan in the control box is no noisier than the CR10 one. In fact, if anything, it is ever so slightly quieter. There's no vibration. These screws don't fit in this hole very well. But yeah, no, nice solid bit of kit, and the colour LCD screen is a good touch. I like that. I think that works really well. Who's quieter for now? I'm quieter. Oh, I see. Yes, no, I'm with you, buddy. Yeah, quieter for now until it starts rattling and you have to jam bits of blue tack and chewing gum in to hold it together. Yeah, I hear you, bud. I hear you. So I'm just putting the spool holder on to a rough degree. I'm not going to bother tightening it all the way up because those screws are awfully tight in there, so maybe I'm missing something. I don't want to over tighten them and then find I've got it in the wrong spot. I'm going to move some rubbish out of the way. I say rubbish, it's all my Allen keys and my micrometer and everything else. And the mouse. We'll have the mouse out of the way as well, shall we? And the rubbish left over from the breakfast this morning. We'll remove the control box away from the printer a bit. Right, so filament. Filament. I know what we'll do. Seeing as they supplied me free with the printer a roll of beautiful purple filament. Might have to order one of them, Derek, rather than beating around the bush with it. And then do a video of how to set it up. I do like this colour purple. That is a snazzy colour purple, is that. You can tell this is impromptu. I've got nothing sorted out. We'll have a look what's on the SD card. We'll see if there's anything on that that's printable. Oh my god, I don't know whether that cable's going to hold on there, because like I say, I haven't tightened it up fully because I don't trust myself that I've put those in the right place. Side cutters. That was something that didn't come in the kit. Did you notice? No side cutters. That in itself is a little interesting. I thought you got side cutters with everything these days, but clearly not. So we'll put a snip on that. We will go through the filament sensor. I'm not quite sure whether that's... Be interesting to see whether that's optical or not, that filament sensor. Now I have an age-old problem with getting the filament, there we go, into the Bowden tube. It's into the Bowden tube. It's down and I feel it all the way into the end of the hot end. So that's good. Right, SD card. Is my mic still working? Yeah, good. Right, so SD card goes in upside down. And we have a reading that says SD card OK. So there's two files on the card. We will pick one at random. We will click print. And we're off. Bed moving. No, I'm not putting anything on the bed. No, absolutely not. I suppose I could have tried levelling it first. That might be a plan. We might just pause the print. So, print's paused. So, let me see if I can control. We'll actually stop the print. We'll kill the print job now. Yes. Very good is this setup, you know. Very simple to use. Right. We have a manual level feature. Now the only issue with that is I have to park that off the bed. You can see that. Probably can't see that. Let me get some light on. That nozzle is nowhere near the front of the bed. So that's why it's very small screws, because you don't actually need them. It's all done off here. Right, this you've got to see. This you've got to see, right? So this is your manual bed leveling setup. Okay, so I pick a corner I want to pick, so I'll pick corner 4. It now moves the machine over to the far corner, drops down, and then I'm allowed to adjust the Z height by 0.05 millimeters or 0.5 millimeters. So I should get my piece of paper, like so. I will sit that underneath, like so, and I will keep pressing the button. Now it's beeping, but it doesn't appear to be actually moving the Z height. So maybe I've got this wrong. I could really read the instruction, couldn't I? Just let me... It's certainly giving me 5 points on the bed to check. Maybe I have to do them in order. Well, that's gone to there. Ah, right. Okay. So what happens is that when the Z end stop switch is activated, it won't let you trigger it any lower. Yeah, well done guys. You got to it before I did. So I've got to loosen those screws off a bit. So okay, so that's okay on that one, so we'll go over to number 4. Still, yeah, matter makers, you know, it's easy to be there being clever, you know. Nobody's found me this this here setting for this wiring diagram yet, have they? Oh, that one's tight. I might just have to move my positioning a little. Come round the back to do this one. Okay, that's fairly good. So we'll go to position 2. So I'll do the 4 corners and then we'll go and see what the middle's like to see how much of a warp, if any, there is on the bed. Okay, that feels fairly good. So we'll go to the centre. We'll go around the four corners again after we've done this, but do you know, that ain't half bad. That ain't half bad at all. I am actually quite impressed with that. That has actually got some resistance to the middle of the bed. So if there is any warp on the middle of the bed, it is minimal, I would say, from the feel of that. Now, I'm going to take back what I said about those screws. They might be very small, but they're actually very easy to turn. I mean, I know I'm at the back of the machine and that makes life easier for me. It might be difficult when it's up against a wall, but they're not fiddly. So we're just doing the four corners again. And then we'll get some printing done. So thank you the 8 of you that have managed to stay with me for the last hour and 10 minutes. I do appreciate it. I'm sure many people are sick of seeing these blooming videos for this machine. But then there's only half as many for this as there were for the CR10. I should know, I wrote most of them. Yeah, the only issue really with these smaller knobs is you've only got to turn them a fraction of a turn for them to make a big difference on your printer. But then of course you all know that already, don't you? So we'll go back to the middle. Look, resistance. That is a good level bed. I'm impressed with that. Right, let's get this printer fired up. Let's get this printer fired up. So, filament. So you've got hot and cold clearly. This is, I tell you, I'm really liking the look of this. So we'll go for that one. No idea how long it's going to take or what it is. I will find the stand for that. Get you raised up a bit. It will be interesting to see if there is actually like an on-the-fly way of altering the height, like baby stepping. It'd be interesting to see if they've formulated a version of that they're using, because that indeed would be even more helpful. But I'm impressed so far. So far so good, as they say. It's a big old machine. It's, you know, it's going to stand well. The missus turned round and said, well, which one's going then to make room for it? Well, none. But I am maybe going to have to move things around a bit, and I might move the Prusa to a table of its own. I've got an area here which I've just got tools and rubbish on at the moment, so I might put it onto here, and then I'll put it next to the CR10. So I'll have the CR10 and then the A30, and then I'll have my two Ender 3s and then my little BQ Delta at the end here. But that's a plan. I am going to lose some space at some point, unfortunately. Kind of happens these days. Not quite sure when, but I'm going to be moving again. And when I'm moving again, there is no space at all for any 3D printers. Now don't panic. All is good with the world. The boss is agreed to get me a outdoor shed, which is 10 foot by 12 foot. So I've got to try and compact everything into 10 by 12 foot. And 10 by 12 foot is roughly from the edge of my table here to the door. So from where I'm sat back is the amount of room I'm going to have. So I'm going to have to compact things down a bit and have some ideas on how to swap some things around to get them to fit. But it's a few months away yet, so we'll persevere. There's going to be a shed load of power out to it. So it'll all be good. But like I say, it just means things will get compacted down a bit, but we'll make it work because that's what we do. Right, what are we up to? So temperature wise, the bed's hit 50. The nozzle is at 155 and climbing. There's no acrid smell like you got with the enders when you turn those on. So that again is nice. I've popped that off there. Oh, looks like we're off. Right, haven't quite got the level right, sorry I had to stop it. But you can see what it was printing. That's clearly printing a benchy. Just let me sit that up there a second. I'm just going to check. I might have to restart. So I'm in a pause position at the moment, and when you pause it, it does rehome. Yeah, it's just a little on the high side. Is that? Now I don't know whether I can alter that or not at this stage of the proceedings. I'm not well enough up on it to see whether there's the ability to do anything with that. My pause menu doesn't appear to give me any options to restart or anything. Sorry, to do any alterations on the fly. So I'm going to cancel the print, and then I'm going to print it again. Hit print. Hopefully the temperature won't be far off. Nozzle had dropped about 130, bed down to 146, so it's going to take a little bit of time to come back up. In the meantime, I will try and get some camera angles sorted so we can actually see what's going on. And my fat head in the way, of course, all the time doesn't help. I've got to say though, first thoughts, quick, easy build, easy for both people like me that have built a few and people starting out. I don't see there being many build issues. Build quality wise, all seemed very good. There was that slight issue with that one plug, but that was a very simple fix. Yeah, it's just a matter of getting my head around the menus, Richard. Because Z offset on the fly, I don't know what to press, to be honest with you. Because it's all menu driven, it's all a bit new. for you, without reading the manual, I think I'm going to struggle to work out that first layer immediately. So I think we're just going to let this print. I think we can do a lot worse than just letting it print. It seems to be, the first layer isn't going to be perfect, but it seems to be laying it down alright. So I think we might just leave this to get on with it. Do I think it might kill off the CR10? I don't think the CR10 is the machine it was, mainly because it's so dated now. This has certainly taken on a lot of the CR10 stuff and improved upon it. We've also got the advantage that, of course, over a period of time, so I'm just doing a bit of cable management while we're talking, over a period of time, a lot of the things that the CR10 had made for it will be made for this, which will, you know, quieten the stepper motors down, that kind of thing. The fact that it has a filament sensor is brilliant out the factory. The fact that setting up this ABL sensor looks really straightforward. Be interesting to see what else you can do with the firmware. It would be interesting to see if thermal runaway is turned on or not. That could be an interesting thing to check in a later video. But first impressions, yeah, it's a nice machine. It's well built, it's well put together. It's printing almost out the box. I put 4 screws in the bottom. There were the 4 T-plates, which has just had the T-nuts to put in, tighten up, and plug the cables in, and the cables are all pre-wired, and they tell you what's going where. So yeah, it's a blooming good machine. I tell you what, that first layer is going down better than I thought it was. Just let me see if I can pick this camera up and show you a look at this, because this, I know it's pre-sliced and everything else, but I tell you what, let's see if I can get in on this for you. That ain't too shabby. That's printing really nicely. Gotta say, out of the box, that's impressive. Can't really, sorry, I'm chucking you all over again, aren't I? But even the experts do this on live builds. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to leave that, I'm going to leave it printing, I'm going to leave the stream running while I get on with some other stuff. Hopefully it'll keep working. If anybody has any questions for me, please talk to me. I will be in the room for a while longer, just while I sort a few things out. But that's printing, and it's printing well. So the next thing we need to do, while I was prattling about, I put the switch the filament sensor on. So we are going to cut through the filament about, let me get this right, about there. So that filament now, I will tell you when it disappears into the sensor. Right, so it's gone into the end of the sensor. And I've yet to see it come out, and there we go. It hasn't come out of the sensor, but this time look, it's actually moved the head away from the printer. It's also lowered the bed. It gives me a chance to clear the stringing. I should go around the front and have a look and see what it says. So it reads, the printing job was paused as no filament was detected. Please check the filament to resume printing. So that filament is loose enough that I can pull it out of there remove it from the tube. Carefully. Back in through the sensor. We're back in the Bowden tube. Into the hot end. I've pushed it all the way to the bottom. I will clean off the blob off the bottom, burning my fingers in the process. I will click OK on the screen. Go back to the home screen, it says printing paused. I'll press play to restart the print. Okay, it starts to heat up, and I think as long as I just clip the wisp off as it starts to print again, that'll be fine and dandy. So, not only does the filament out sensor work, but it's also intelligent enough to take the print head away from whatever you're printing, which is exceptionally good, which of course the power out can't do. But like I say, if you could auto home after the power out, which I will try to do in a moment, and then resume, it'll give you a chance to clean the nozzle, because this one is chucking filament all over as it gets up to temp. Any minute now we'll fire back into life. There we go. Just clean that nozzle off. I'll try and catch it on the way over. And away it goes. Now, there is a bit of loose stuff there. Oh, to have my tongs with me. Can't get to it. I think I've got it off the build surface. Well, actually off the printed area. Yeah, I've got it off the printed area, so yeah, there we go. That's a little bit hard to take off there, and it's continue printing. So that's fantastic. So there you go. It's recovered. So that's good, isn't it, boys and girls? Yeah, you're certainly right there, Derek. It all just works. And we like things that just work, because it takes the hassle out of life. If something just works, you can be safe in the knowledge, you can set a print going. I would still like to check thermal runaway. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to test that yet, but it would be interesting to see if it was on in the firmware. haven't tried it, Derek. I've now seen the wiring on a picture, and rather than use the one that's pre-wired and I'm not sure of the configuration on it, I can use the one that isn't wired yet, which is this one, because I've got the colour codes. So I might just hash up a quick play with this cable. I haven't got my crimps with me, which is the first problem. Second problem is I'm as blind as a bat at this time of night. I don't think I have any crimps in the building. The crimps have left the building. Crimps. At the end of the day, Derek, I don't think getting the wiring wrong is too much of an issue. I don't think you're playing with enough whack to cause any issues, to be honest with you. I mean, I haven't managed to blow anything up yet in all my many years of working with these devices. I know you have. You only have to look at them and they go pop. Well, James, it's like this, my old friend. There we go. Richard, hammer 'em out. Power resume. Filament sensor. Wonderful build surface which works a treat. LCD touchscreen, full colour. Dual lead screw as standard. Wi-Fi main module already on board. You just have to pay £8 for a sensor. Pretty good, really. And if you haggle, cheap. Yeah, the 10S has already, you're absolutely right. But the standard CR10, what's the price of a 10S? James, if you just care to check the price of a 10S at the moment. I mean, the build quality of this, I've got 3 Creality machines. I've got 2 Ender 3s and an original CR10, and the build quality of this is as good. The quality of parts are as good. I have absolutely no complaints on that score whatsoever. Okay, so a 10S is $4.99. This, if you go onto Geeetech's website, you can have this machine itself for, wait for it, drum roll please. I've just got to reverse up. Somebody's going to get there before I get it. Direct from their website, £330. On Amazon in the UK, it can be had for £380, I believe, £379.99 or something like that. So you're talking an £80 saving. You're talking a £90 saving, and all the extras. So well, it's got to be good. It's also entirely open source. Just bear that in mind. I do love the touchscreen. The touchscreen is as responsive as any touchscreen I've ever seen. It's not one of these stupid ones where you have to have a special pen to touch it to make it work. You don't have to smack the screen hard for it to work. It's simple, straightforward. Very light, well, not a very light touch, but a normal touch of the screen actuates it. It's very easy to navigate around. I mean, I don't know, I had some misconceptions about Geeetech machines. I don't know why. Whether something in my back of my mind told me that somebody somewhere along the lines had an issue with the Geeetech machine, I don't know, but I had a feeling for some reason that there was a problem with them. Well, it's not bad. The bed levelling is fantastic. The bed levelling is like Derek says, it's semi-manual. You set the lead screws, but there is the ability of the machine. It does 5 points. It'll pick 5 points around the screen. You just press on the screen and it goes to those 5 points. You can manually level them to make sure it's right. But then there is also the ability to alter each one on the screen as well. So you're doing a sort of semi-automatic bed levelling. You can move each corner by 0.05 of a millimetre, I think is the smallest setting you can do. So it's semi-automatic, semi-manual is the best way of describing it. Or with your £9 sensor and a little bit of a change on the screen to change it from manual to auto bed levelling, and you're off and running. That sensor mount, Derek, is about 3 parts of the way through. Right, we're going to do a power resume again in a minute. This time I'm going to see if I can move the head out of the way, because we know the filament out works and works well. I'm not here to try and break the machine. That's not what it's about as far as I'm concerned. It's just simple little tests just to see what this thing's capable of. Yeah, absolutely, James, and it's just it's a simple 3-pin plug on the top. So you buy the sensor from them for $7.69 with free delivery to the UK. You plug it into the plug on the top of the print head. You put it into the sensor mount. You get your bed level. You then transfer from manual bed leveling to auto bed leveling, and it does the rest. And the theory is you should never need to level your bed again. And there's no needing to flash firmware or update anything, it's all already in there. So it's looking favourable. I mean, its only downside for me, and this is a personal thing, the only downside for me is the fact that it's a 12 volt machine. If they'd have made this a 24 volt machine, the same as an Ender 3, it would have stolen the show totally. But it is only 12 volt. That does mean that your heat up times are a bit longer. But if you're tossing up between a CR10 or a CR10S and this, I think this wins it. I mean, like I say, it's early days. This is only the second print ever on it. It's got a chance to mess things up yet. I mean, I've got a chance to mess things up yet. But I think as it stands, I mean, I love my Ender 3s, don't get me wrong, and I won't get rid of them. They're too good by far for that. But toss up between a CR10, CR10S and the Geeetech. Well, at the moment the Geeetech is winning for me. But I will do a review, a proper review, a more in-depth review when I've done some more stuff with it. Yeah, you say it's a bit meh, but that's what the CR10's got, that's what the CR10S has got. You wanted to see print quality, that was first ever print on it. That file is on the SD card, that is their pre-sliced benchy, which in itself ain't too shabby. It's come out pretty nicely. There is a little bit of stringing, but apart from that, I don't think it's too bad at all. Right, back to me. Right, so that went up. Now, and like I say, Richard, that's the, sorry James, that's the first print. That's straight off the SD card. So, oh right, it's maybe allegedly optimised for the machine, but I'm sure with an S3D profile, it can be improved upon by the community, by me, by just about anybody. You know as well as I do, you can dial these things in yourself. I'm using Geeetech PLA. This purple is their PLA. This came with it. That was free. When you order it from Amazon, you get a free roll of filament of your choice, which makes up for the crappy 3 foot that they send you otherwise. Yeah, it would look better if it was in focus properly, actually. But you can't always get what you want. Just trying to wire this sensor plug without the aid of a safety net, and it's not going overly well. It's got to be said. Right, 2 pins in. Talk amongst yourselves, guys. Oh, you are doing. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, my Prussia's silent. My Prussia's silent at the moment because I haven't switched it on in over a week. But yeah, they are quiet. But if you check my videos, you'll see me fitting the stepper dampers to one of my Ender 3s, and that made that a lot quieter very quickly. I mean, I know there's an issue with a big fan in the box on here, which is a big fan, and it is blowing a lot of hot air my direction, but it is what it is. Right, we're going to do another power out. This time I'm going to attempt to move it. So, power resume function test number 2. So we've had power out, we've had power resume, it's beeped to tell me that something has happened. I'm now going to go around the front and see if it will allow me to move it. Right, it won't let me home the prim, it won't let me move the prim. But the stepper motors are off, so I can actually move the print away. You can't see this, can you? Sorry, let me turn it around. I've actually been able to move the bed and the print head away from the prim because the stepper motors are disabled. So now if I ask it to resume printing, so this could be the answer. The answer could be is that when you get that resume command, you move it away from the print head first. You move it away from the piece you're working on first. So that is now, it stopped somewhere in the middle. We've now pushed the head out of the way because, like I say, the motors weren't engaged, so they were free to move. So I've moved it over there. Now let's see if it'll home itself and then continue. Oh yeah, the table's terrible. Right, so that's homed into the corner. It's primed the nozzle. It's coming back in. And it's continued to prim. So there's your answer. So your power resume function works, and all you need to do is, before you restart the print, is to move the print head away from the piece. That allows it to heat up, get back up to temperature without blobbing on top of the print. But that's the thing, Derek, you don't need to be by it, you can leave it. Because I've just proved it. You can move the print head out of the way manually, allow the nozzle to reheat, allow the bed to reheat. I mean, that's the biggest issue. It isn't so much the nozzle leaving a blob or anything like that. It's the fact that if the bed gets too cold, your print's going to come unstuck. But then that happens with any machine. I don't know if I mean, I know Prusa don't do it. If it comes unstuck, it comes unstuck, because their bed doesn't stay hot after the power comes back on. It doesn't reheat and wait. But that works. That system works. All you do is, when you come back to the machine and you go, oh, we've had a power out, move the nozzle out of the way because the stepper motors are disengaged. It'll reheat. It resets itself into the start position off its end stops, and then comes back and carries on. So that works. That just works. And I've still no idea what we're printing. Wow, we've got 2 people watching. Wow! My God, James, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. That is fantastic. Dude, you're a star. That is going to go towards either a sensor for this or the Wi-Fi for this to get it sorted. James, that's really, really nice of you. I really do appreciate it. I am a small YouTuber, as you can tell. I don't have the sort of power that the big YouTubers have for being able to get machines sent to them free of charge. I have to pay for mine. So people like you doing something like that makes a massive difference. That means now that can go towards either something else to do a review of, or something else to just keep the channel going, and it's people like you I rely on, and I thank you very much for that. And it also means that you have just got yourself an extra chance to win a prize in the upcoming draw, which I'm sure you know absolutely nothing about, but there is a draw coming up, and that has just got you an extra chance of winning. But James, that's fantastic, mate. Really, really, really is fantastic. I really do appreciate that. And that puts you on my list across the top of the screen as well. Or it should do. And there you are, look. That's brilliant, James. Thank you so much. You don't know how important stuff like that is. So, there we go, guys. We have sussed. The filament out works a treat. The power outage works a treat, as long as you move the nozzle away from the print before you restart it. It does its own stuff. It will be interesting to get it off this somewhat wobbly table and onto something more solid, and I'm sure some of the noises would go. I'm still considering getting some dampeners, just to maybe lighten the noise a little. The fan is noisy, there's no getting away from it, but I hear it more because I'm sat behind the printer, so it's blowing back at me, so maybe I get more noise than you would do if you were at the front. Summing up, love the touch screen. It's really intuitive, really easy to work out. The build was really simple. You know, no time at all to build. The quality of the build is as good as Creality. I have no qualms with that at all. The print quality straight out the box is really good. I know there are some S3D profiles out there. I will be looking at those. The only thing I would change, and this is maybe just me being me, but the only thing I would change at this stage, and I'll show you what it is that. That to me looks cheap and nasty. I mean, it's working, but it's I've seen better, so that will be changed out. That will be changed out almost, sorry, can't you get that out of focus? That will be changed out almost immediately, because I'm not overly impressed with that. I can actually see filament on the gear already, so clearly the spring tension is too great. I don't know whether I can show you that. I'll bring the gear around that way. Can you see the discoloration on the brass gear there? That is actually, I think, filament. So I would say the tension was a bit... Yeah, it's got one of those nasty spring tensioners on it. I'm afraid so. James even. You see, James Beam, Jim Beam. Can't be helped. I'm sure you get it all the time. But we're going to change that out. That will possibly be its only minus mark out the whole thing. At the moment is that. But if that's the worst thing that's wrong with it, I've got two sat over there in a box, or sat down here in a box in fact. There's one, and there's another. I mean, that's also spring loaded, but it's the alloy one. That'll sit straight onto there. Or that one will sit straight onto there, and that will solve that problem, but we'll leave it running for now because it's not causing an issue. I am going to go and check on some other stuff. Yeah, it's a simple connect, it's a simple repair. Couldn't be more straightforward really. If that's the biggest thing that's wrong with it, I'm going to call it a day for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, James, for your support. I really do appreciate that massively. Like I say, it makes a big difference, more than you could possibly believe. So we're going to leave it here for now. I will edit the stream up a bit, and I'll put the first section of it out with the build of the first print. I shall be back online tomorrow during the day. We will get some stuff sorted, we'll do some more stuff with it, and we will just move forward. So yeah, thanks for watching. Take care, guys. Look after yourselves, look after each other, but remember, most of all, remember, there's more to life than 3D printing. Not a lot, but there is more to life than 3D printing, like beer, which I've just run out of. Alright guys, cheers, take care, we'll see you next time.